Good morning students, welcome to the social class. So this is part 3 of Indian Constitution lesson. So till now we have discussed the functions of the constitution and we are in key features of the constitution. So we have already discussed two key features of the constitution. Those are federalism and parliamentary system of the government. Now we need to discuss separation of the powers, fundamental rights and secularism. So today we need to cover all these three topics. So in that the first one is separation of powers. Yes, between what the separation of powers is there. So our Indian constitution gave to the government three organs. Those are legislature, executive and judiciary. So we already came across these three organs, right? Yes. Legislature refers to the making of laws and elected representatives. So our elected representatives are responsible to make the laws through the organ of legislature. And the second one is executive. Executive is the smaller group of people who are responsible to run the government and to implement the laws which are made by the legislature. And the third one is judiciary. So which belongs to a system of the courts in our country. So central level we have Supreme Court, state level we have different high courts and in district level we have district courts. So judiciary is have a authority on the system of court in our India. So according to the constitution these three organs have their separate powers, and to prevent the misuse of the power of these organs, it laid down strong provisions to hold the powers of each organ. Not only that, each organ works as a check on other organs in our government. So it laid down strong provisions and strong articles clearly mentioned the roles and responsibilities of each organ. So by dividing the powers among these three organs, it was very easy to the government to rule. In a right side corner of this page, you can observe a small paragraph. Members of the Constituent Assembly scared or feared of the executive organ. Why? Because this executive organ is powerful and it is having the responsibility to implement the laws and run the government. So they feared that it may become very tough or it may dominate remaining organs. So like that they felt, and they laid down strong provisions and framed many articles about that executive body. So they tied the executive body with many provisions. So like that our Constituent Assembly members think a lot and they perfectly written our constitution in a constructed manner. The next key feature in our constitution is fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are very important and they have special status in our constitution. Sometimes these fundamental features are viewed as moral sense of our constitution. Our constituent assembly members would like to give freedom to the Indians and they would like to safeguard the fundamental rights of the people, and they would like to save the Indians from other powers as well as the state powers also. So they laid down strong fundamental rights for the freedom of Indians. 300 members of our Constituent Assembly are the nationalists and they watched directly the brutality of the Britishers and how the Indians suppressed in the hands of Britishers. So by keeping all those things in the mind, our Constituent Assembly members provide a very good fundamental rights to the Indians. So here we have some of the fundamental rights. Have a look of that. The first one is a right to equality. So right to equality means everybody or every citizen is equal to law. They should not discriminate against their caste, race, religion, gender, or any other status. So everybody has to access to all the places in India, and no discriminations are allowed in India on the basis of anything. So everybody are equal in the eyes of law. The next one is right to freedom. Yes, as Indians, we have freedom to move freely in our country, and we can settle down in any state and in any place. So, as a Indians, we can move freely, we can speak freely, and we can express our ideas freely. And the next one is right against exploitation. This right will provide a chance to us to protect us from others. Yes. So human trafficking, kidnapping, all these things we can fight against all these things with the help of this right. And Constitution provide all the types of safeguards to the Indians. One is right to freedom of religion. Yes. In India we have full freedom to follow any religion, to take any religion, to spread any religion. So state or nation is not interfere in the religious issues of the people. So we can adopt any religion, we can take the rules and regulations of any religion. It is wish of the people who lives in India. And the next one is cultural and educational rights. The minorities and some religious institutions or some linguistic some language based institutions, they can establish any organizations or they can establish any educational institutions to safeguard their particular culture. So our constitution give freedom to the people to grow their culture and to grow their tradition. In order to preserve their own culture, they can establish any organizations or institutions. It is free in our India to the Indians. So next one is right to constitutional remedies. If the citizens of India feel that if they are not able to take or if they are not able to enjoy any fundamental right, they can go to the court and they can get remedy from the court. So many cases are there like that where constitution protects a common man's fundamental right. So constitution is constructed in such a way that it understands the in-depth heart of the Indians. So our 300 constituent assembly members collectively sit together 3 years they strive, and they went on many debates on each article, and they rewrite many times our constitution. At last they framed very constructive constitution for us. So these are only few of the rights now they have mentioned here. Many rights are there which made us live happily in our country. Yes. Do you think any time which made you live happily and freely in this country? That is the constitution made you to live happily in our India. There are two objectives are there for our fundamental rights. So these are told by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is the chairman of our Constituent Assembly. So the first one is all the citizens should be able to utilize the fundamental rights. Means every citizen should be in a position to grab the fundamental rights. His hope is every citizen should aware of the fundamental rights and they should have knowledge about the constitution. With the help of the constitution they has to protect themselves. No need to ask anybody's help. It is the constitution which safeguards the people in India. The next objective of the fundamental right is all the authorities of the country has to bind to these fundamental rules. Yes. So there is nobody who stops the fundamental rights to reach to the common people. A single or a common man in our country can able to enjoy each and every fundamental right. There has to be nobody to stop him to enjoy the fundamental right. That So why? Because yes, our constituent assembly members lively experienced the suppressing behavior of the Britishers, and they vexed with the behavior of the Britishers. That's why they laid down a great solid concrete road for the Indians to move into the future. Right? Yes. These are the golden words from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he laid down really a flower path to the Indians. The last feature of our constitution is secularism. So, what is the meaning of secularism? So, secularism means state or the nation. So, here state is different and the government is different. Government is a running body of the state which will fulfill all the activities of the state. It is the body of the state. State means the region where people lived, not all the people who bond to the common goals. Like Indian state, we have our constitution, we have our boundaries. Nepal state, like that state means it is a region where people shared the common constitution and the boundaries. Here, state or the nation does not promote any religion. So, a secular state is one in which state does not promote any one religion officially. So, India is a secular state where our state means country, government has no one religion, and we are not supporting any one religion. Many of the religions are there in India, and all the religions have freedom to construct their religious places like mosques, churches, and everything. So India have a liberal rules and regulations for the benefit of their citizens. So these are all key features of our constitution which safeguard the ideals of Indians. And if we observe this constitution lesson, we can understand that the constitution of a country is affected by the history of that country. Definitely. Because of the British rule and because of the things and events which we come across during these 150 years are there in the minds of our constituent assembly members, and because of that view they would like to give full freedom to the citizens of India. That's why they laid down very strong fundamental rights or directive principles. These directive principles are the rules or the guidelines to the state to increase the socio-economic condition of the state, and it gives some way rules or some suggestions to eradicate the poverty also in the country. So those are very important things which every government has to take into consider. So all these types of rules and regulations, ways, suggestions, whatnot, everything is framed in the constitution. Making the changes in constitution. The amendment means making changes in any article of the constitution is called amendment. So many amendments are happened. So why these amendments are happened to the constitution? Why? Because the constitution has to reflect the outside society. If the constitution is rigid, it is not changed according to the situation of the society, it may not be useful to the idealism of the people. That's why amendments are necessary to the constitution. Any major change of the constitution will lead to the change the total structure of the constitution. Yes, country's history determines the constitution of that country. Absolutely true. And a major change to the constitution will change the fundamental structure of that country. Like in the Nepal, how they changed from the dictatorship to democratic. When they changed entirely from one type of government to another type of government, basic constitution structure has to change. That's why they have written new constitution according to the ideals of the Nepal people. So this is all about the lesson, the Indian Constitution. We have discussed about this lesson in 3 parts. You just have a look of all the 3 parts. Why? Because in the next class you may get the worksheet regarding this class, and you can write the worksheet answers in your HWs. Thank you.